Hello, this is the Human-Computer Interaction Lab at the University of Maryland, and I'm Ben Shneiderman, here to introduce a videotape segment showing Don Hopkins' demonstration of the pie menu idea. This idea, which Don Hopkins developed in the late 80s, was based on his recognition that long, linear, pull-down menus took a long time to select with. And therefore, he came up with the idea of arranging the menu items in a circle as they are in this example on the screen. The cursor comes up in the center, and a short motion in any direction immediately selects that item by use of the mouse, and a click initiates the action. Don Hopkins developed the pie menu idea while working under the direction of Professor Mark Weiser here in the Department of Computer Science. Then another student named Jack Callahan conducted an empirical study under my direction to validate the efficacy of pie menus compared to linear menus. In that study, Jack Callahan determined that the pie menus were 20% faster than the linear menus and about half the error rates. In that study, the results showed a rather consistent pattern where the pie menus took selection times of approximately 1 second, whereas the linear menus range from about almost 2 seconds to about 2.5 seconds. Depending on the target location, you can see that the linear menus took longer as the items were further down in the menu structure, whereas the times were essentially constant for the pie menu utilization. The pie menus have been implemented in the news system distributed by Sun Microsystems, and they're available for selection by those who would like to try them and use them in their daily use, as I do. The demonstrations that follow are by Don Hopkins, and as he takes you through some of the interesting variations on the theme that show the promise of pie menus for even more beneficial applications.
This is the news window system running 3 flag waving applications and 1 program to display what the mouse is doing called Mousy. When I move the mouse around, it leaves a trail, and when I click the buttons, it leaves dots. Now, these flag waving applications have pop-up menus to select a flag to display. We can either select all the flags that it knows or just one of them. Now, this is a linear menu, and the Mousy shows the outline of the menu that was popped up. I'm going to pull right to a submenu and get the long list of the flags that I can display. And you see it over here, echoed. When I select a flag, it updates the display. Now, down here is a pie menu. This is a 2-item pie menu. And since there's only 2 items, each item gets half of the circle. So it's very easy to make a selection from one of them. And you see it's echoed on the Mousy display. Both items are very close to the cursor. Now, when I go and select the lower submenu, it pops up this huge pie menu of the country names. Now, each of these labels has to be pushed out by the layout policy so that they don't overlap. And while it takes up a lot of screen space, still each of the menu items is very close to the cursor. Now, the more items you have, the smaller a wedge each one gets. But you can still get more angular precision by moving the cursor out further and further as the wedge gets bigger and bigger. So when I spaz out here, it makes a big difference, but I can move out and I have a lot more control. Over here, this window here has a window management menu on its frame for doing things like moving the window around and resizing it. And this is a pie menu that is optimized to be really easy to use and to take advantage of muscle memory. Now, what these symbols here are for, I'll demonstrate. This to the northeast is paint, and that simply redisplays what's in the window. And Now to the southwest is shape, and that lets me click at two corners and resize or reshape the window. And it's giving me rubber band feedback as to where the window is going to go. So I can also pop up this menu on the inside of the window. Now, as you can see in this mousy window, it's just echoing all of the menu selections I'm making. Now, shape and pane are two very commonly done things, so they're at the top level and can be made with one selection. So if I shape it to overlap the mousy window, I can demonstrate the up and down arrows, and they change the depth of this window. The down will push it to the bottom of the pile of windows, and the up arrow will bring it to the top. And those are very natural, intuitive directions for those functions. Now, the eye here is a visual pun. This turns the window into an icon, and I have the same menu on the icon for consistency's sake that will turn it back into a window. Now, on the submenus, there is a grab submenu for grabbing a corner of the window or an edge and stretching it to somewhere. Now, I can grab, say, the lower edge, and it gives me this rubber band feedback telling me where the lower edge will go when I click the button. Now, if you zoom in on this, here's the grab menu. All these corners and edges here are in the natural direction, and usually when you make a selection of a corner or an edge, you're going to want to keep moving the mouse in the direction of that selection to position that edge or corner. So now this one works really well with mouse ahead that I'll demonstrate in a minute, but right now here is the move submenu for changing the position of the window, and I'll select unconstrained move to the right. That's two selections to the right, which is very easy to do. I'll clear the mousy window here using the same window manager menu and show you unconstrained move. Now, on that menu are also two constrained moves, vertically constrained, which is on the vertical axis, up, and horizontally constrained, which is on the horizontal axis to the left. And here's horizontal constrained movement. And here is vertically constrained movement. Now, the eye closes the window to an icon and lets you position that. And of course, you get the same submenu on the icon window manager menu, just to flip the state. So these menus here are very easy to use with mouse ahead. And since the window manager is something that you use a whole lot, it's really good to optimize it to use mouse ahead. Now, I'll demonstrate mousing up and down. Now, as you can see, this Pac-Man flashes on the screen really fast when I've made a selection fast enough that the computer can't keep up with me. But the mousy window displays the actual menu here, although it was never mapped on the screen. It's just using a very cheap form of feedback, just to give me some sort of confirmation. So I can also go reshape to the southwest, and then give it a new position, and reshape and give it a new position. Now, that also works with submenus. Here, let me use mouse ahead to clear the mousy window. And the grab submenu, I'll go grab and grab the bottom and position it, and go grab the right edge and position it, and grab the northeast corner and position that. And as you can see, it's very easy to make the right selection. In fact, you can go out further to get more angular precision now. And I can demonstrate